The galaxy had always known peace, or so we told ourselves. Among the countless stars and sprawling civilizations, the Concordant was a beacon of unity, a coalition of species that had long rejected war and violence. For generations, we believed in the power of diplomacy, reason, and mutual respect. We believed it so deeply that the idea of conflict felt distant, a relic of a barbaric past. But all of that changed when the humans arrived. I remember the first time I saw them. It was at the grand halls of the Galactic Council, a place where the air itself seemed heavy with centuries of decisions and compromises. As the towering crystal doors opened, the human delegation entered, their steps purposeful, their expressions unyielding. They weren't what we expected. Humans, the name carried a certain infamy, a whispered blend of fear and curiosity across the galaxy. They were known for their aggression, their stubbornness, and their chaotic history. War was woven into their past, a seemingly endless cycle of destruction and rebuilding. Yet here they were, walking into the heart of galactic diplomacy not with weapons but with words. Leading them was Ambassador Maya Blackstar, her piercing gaze scanning the chamber as if she could see through the walls of formality and pretension. Behind her stood Commander Adrian Phoenix, whose mere presence radiated authority, and Elena Storm, a security chief with eyes sharp as a blade. Even their names seemed designed to stand out, to linger in the memory. From the first moment, they were different. Direct, unyielding, and unapologetically themselves. While other species spoke in circles, cautious to avoid offense, the humans were bold. They talked about their struggles, their scars, and their resolve. It was unsettling. But it wasn't until New Harmony that we truly understood what humans were capable of. New Harmony was one of our most peaceful colonies, a place where war felt like a distant nightmare. Families lived under the glow of twin suns, their lives untroubled by fear. Then the distress signal came. The Ravagers, a nightmare from the dark edges of the galaxy, had attacked. The council chambers erupted in chaos. Representatives argued over evacuation plans and debated strategies, their words filling the air with panic and indecision. But Maya Blackstar stood still, her expression unreadable. When she finally spoke, her voice cut through the noise like a blade. "Earth's defense force can respond," she said. "We're within jump range." The Council's reaction was immediate and furious. Accusations of military adventurism and overreach flew at her like arrows. "This is a concordant matter," one elder growled. "Humanity has no jurisdiction here." Maya didn't flinch. "With respect, by the time you finish debating, New Harmony will be gone." I stood frozen, torn between duty and dread. These were my people under attack. I had spent centuries promoting peace, believing it was the answer to every conflict. And now, in the face of such brutality, that belief felt fragile. "Ambassador Nova," Maya said quietly, addressing me directly, "we can help, but we need your permission." Her words echoed in my mind. Help, permission. Could I trust them? Could I entrust the lives of my people to a species we had long feared? I made the decision that would change everything. "Do it," I said. What happened next is hard to describe. The humans moved with a precision and unity I had never seen. Their battle groups dropped out of hyperspace like avenging angels, their ships cutting through the void with a terrifying grace. They engaged the Ravagers head-on, their technology and tactics far more advanced than we had given them credit for. I watched as a human cruiser shielded a transport full of civilians, its hull taking blows that would have obliterated one of our vessels. I listened as their medical teams coordinated rescue efforts, their voices calm even in the face of chaos. They didn't just fight, they protected. They sacrificed. In just 27 minutes, the battle was over. Out of 10,000 colonists, 9,843 were saved. The humans had lost ships and soldiers, but they carried on, their focus unwavering. When the dust settled, Maya turned to me. "You have survivors," she said simply. But that wasn't the end. During the aftermath, a discovery was made on the Ravager flagship. Evidence of betrayal, communications implicating members of the Concordant itself. Some of our own had conspired to target New Harmony, trading lives for power. As the council erupted into chaos once more, I found myself looking at Maya, Adrian, and Elena. They stood firm, unshaken by the politics and infighting that consumed the others. For the first time, I saw humans not as outsiders or threats, but as something else entirely. Protectors. This is the story of why the galaxy's most peaceful species chose to stand with humanity. It's a story of war, sacrifice, and a truth we had long avoided. Sometimes, peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the courage to face it head-on. And as we uncovered the full extent of the betrayal, the question became not if we would stand with humanity, but whether we could survive without them. The council chamber felt colder now, the air heavy with distrust and accusation. Delegates murmured in hushed tones, some avoiding eye contact, others casting furtive glances at their neighbors. The weight of what we had uncovered pressed on all of us. Betrayal. A word that didn't belong in the Concordance vocabulary. Yet here it was, glaring at us in the form of undeniable evidence from the Ravager flagship's databanks. I stood there, my mind racing. The humans had done their part. They had saved New Harmony, exposing this dark truth along the way. But now, the burden of what to do next fell on the council. On me. I glanced at Maya Blackstar, her expression unreadable, but there was a spark of something in her eyes. Determination, perhaps, or anger. "This cannot be ignored," she said, her voice steady but carrying an edge that silenced the room. "Whoever coordinated this attack didn't just betray your colony, they endangered the entire Concordant. If the Ravagers were emboldened once, they'll strike again. And next time, you might not have the luxury of someone stepping in to save you." A murmur rippled through the assembly. The Voidborn elder, always a voice of reason, finally spoke, his deep, resonant tones commanding attention. "Ambassador Blackstar is correct. We must address this matter swiftly and decisively. But the involvement of humanity complicates things." His glowing eyes turned to me. "Ambassador Nova, you granted them permission to act. You must lead this investigation." Lead? The word echoed in my mind, filling me with equal parts pride and dread. As a diplomat, I had always seen my role as one of preservation, maintaining harmony, avoiding confrontation. This was different. This was uncharted territory. I felt Farah's bioluminescent markings flicker beside me, a silent reassurance. "Ambassador," she whispered, her voice low but firm, "whatever decision you make, we will stand by it." Maya's gaze locked with mine. "If you want our help," she said, "we're ready, but we won't act without your consent." That was the thing about humans. They didn't hold back, but they respected boundaries when it mattered. It was a lesson the Concordant could learn, especially now. "Very well," I said, my voice steady despite the whirlwind in my mind. "The investigation begins immediately, and I will require humanity's assistance." The chamber erupted again, protests and agreements clashing in a storm of words. I ignored them, focusing instead on Maya. For a moment, her expression softened, and she gave a slight nod. As the session adjourned, I found myself walking beside her. "You knew," I said quietly, "about the possibility of betrayal." She didn't deny it, not exactly. "But I've learned to expect it. Peace is fragile. It's not as natural as you think." I frowned, her words unsettling. For centuries, we believed that our commitment to peace would protect us, that it would make us strong. Maya stopped, turning to face me. And what did it do instead? The question cut deeper than I expected. Later, in the privacy of my quarters, I replayed the events of the day. The humans' courage, their relentless drive to protect, even at great personal cost. And the betrayal that had surfaced like a shadow we couldn't ignore. My species had always prided itself on its moral high ground, but this exposed a rot we had refused to see. I couldn't sleep that night. Instead, I found myself pacing, Farah sitting silently nearby. Finally, I spoke. "What if we've been wrong all along? What if peace isn't enough?" Farah's markings pulsed softly, her version of a thoughtful frown. "Perhaps peace, like strength, requires maintenance, vigilance." Her words lingered in my mind. Could it be that we had misunderstood the very foundation of our society? The next day, the humans wasted no time. Commander Phoenix and Elena Storm were already deep into the analysis of the Ravager data, their efficiency almost unsettling. They worked together like a well-oiled machine, exchanging ideas and strategies with ease. "Here," Elena said, pointing to a projection of intercepted transmissions. "This frequency, it's encrypted, but it matches communications we've seen before." Phoenix nodded. Not Ravager signatures. This is internal. Concordant tech. I felt a chill run through me. You're certain? Elena's sharp eyes met mine. We don't deal in guesses, Ambassador. Someone on the inside not only knew about the Ravager attack, but orchestrated it. Why? I asked, more to myself than to them. Phoenix leaned back, his expression dark. Power. Fear. Take your pick. But we'll find out. Their confidence was both reassuring and intimidating. Humanity wasn't just relentless in battle, they'd brought that same tenacity to everything they did. As the investigation unfolded, more pieces of the puzzle emerged. The encrypted messages pointed to a handful of individuals, high-ranking members of the Concordant. Farah worked tirelessly to cross-reference the data with our own records, her dedication unwavering. But with each discovery, the tension grew. Whispers spread through the council. Accusations flew. Trust, once the foundation of our alliance, was crumbling. And the humans, for all their help, were a reminder of our vulnerability. One evening, as I stood on a balcony overlooking the council city, Maya joined me. The stars above seemed endless, their light unchanging despite the turmoil below. Do you regret it? She asked after a long silence. Regret what? Letting us help. I hesitated. No, but it's complicated. You've shown us things we weren't ready to see. Maya nodded, her gaze fixed on the horizon. That's the thing about the truth. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. Her words stayed with me as the investigation reached its breaking point. We had identified a primary suspect, a respected elder with decades of service to the Concordant. The evidence was overwhelming, yet the implications were almost too much to bear. On the day of the elder's summons, the council chamber was silent. All eyes were on me as I stood to present the findings. My voice didn't waver, though inside, I felt the weight of every word. The elder denied everything, of course, but the data didn't lie. As the evidence was displayed, the chamber erupted once more, the delegates unable to contain their shock and outrage. Through it all, Maya, Phoenix, and Elena watched quietly, their expressions unreadable. When the session finally ended, Maya approached me. You did the right thing, she said. Did I asked, my voice heavy. Or did I just tear apart everything we believed in? Sometimes, she said, her tone softer than I'd ever heard it, tearing things down is the only way to build something stronger. I looked at her, trying to understand this strange, infuriating, and undeniably remarkable species. They had shown us our weaknesses, our blind spots. And in doing so, they had forced us to confront truths we had long ignored. But as I looked around the chamber, at the faces of my fellow ambassadors, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Something deeper was unfolding, something that would test not just the Concordant but the galaxy itself. And the humans, unpredictable, fierce, and unrelenting, were at the center of it all. The council chamber, once a beacon of unity, had become a battlefield of divided loyalties. The revelation of the Elder's betrayal sent shockwaves through the Concordant. Some saw it as an isolated act of treachery, while others suspected a far deeper conspiracy. The air was heavy with unease, the kind that lingered long after the truth came to light. Maya and I walked through the city's quiet corridors that evening, our conversation subdued. The humans had proven themselves invaluable in uncovering the truth, but their presence had also stirred emotions among the Concordant members: fear, admiration, resentment. You've changed things, I said, my voice soft but carrying the weight of my thoughts. Maya smirked faintly, her hands tucked into the pockets of her jacket. That's what we do. Change isn't always comfortable, Ambassador. But at what cost? I stopped, turning to face her. Your presence here, it's like holding a mirror to everything we didn't want to see. It's not just the betrayal, it's us. The cracks in our alliance. The truths we ignored for the sake of peace. She regarded me for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Maybe peace isn't about ignoring the cracks. Maybe it's about facing them head-on. Her words lingered as I returned to my quarters. Farah was already there, poring over the latest reports. Her markings dimmed when she saw me, a sign of her own weariness. The council is in chaos, she said. Some are calling for more restrictions, tighter control over communications and information. Others want to expel humanity entirely, blaming them for exposing our vulnerabilities. "And what do you think?" I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to hear the answer. Farah hesitated. "I think they're afraid, not just of the humans, but of what this means for us, for everything we've built." The weight of her words pressed down on me. The Concordant was built on trust and cooperation, ideals we had always believed were unshakable. Yet now they felt fragile, like glass on the verge of shattering. The humans, meanwhile, continued their work undeterred. Maya, Phoenix, and Elena had taken up residence in a secure facility provided by the Council, diving deeper into the web of encrypted communications. Their relentless pursuit of answers was both inspiring and unnerving. One afternoon, I visited them. Phoenix was hunched over a console, his sharp features illuminated by the glow of the screen. Elena stood nearby, her arms crossed as she scanned a series of projections. Maya was in the corner, speaking softly into a communicator. "Ambassador," Phoenix greeted me without looking up. "We've found something." Elena turned to me, her expression grim. "There's more than one traitor. The elder we exposed wasn't acting alone. There's an entire network, and it's deeply embedded in the Concordant." My heart sank. "How many?" "At least 6 confirmed," Phoenix replied, "possibly more. They've been coordinating with the Ravagers for years, undermining the Concordant from within." Maya ended her call and joined us, and it's not just about power, she said. They're pushing an agenda. They believe the Concordant has grown weak, that peace has made you vulnerable. They want to dismantle it and replace it with something stronger. The room felt colder. "Stronger?" I echoed, the word leaving a bitter taste in my mouth. Maya nodded. "It's a dangerous ideology, one we've encountered before. They think the only way to survive is through dominance, unity through fear and control." Her words struck a nerve. For centuries, the Concordant had prided itself on its commitment to mutual respect and equality. The idea that members of our own alliance could betray those principles was almost too much to bear. As the days passed, tensions within the Council escalated. The revelation of the network of traitors deepened the divide among the delegates. Some called for immediate action, demanding arrests and purges. Others urged caution, fearing that a heavy-handed response would only fuel further dissent. Amidst the chaos, I found myself drawn to the humans' perspective. They had faced similar challenges in their history, learning the hard way that unity was not something that could be taken for granted. One evening, Maya shared a story with me, one that stayed with me long after she left. She spoke of a time when humanity was on the brink of collapse, torn apart by war and division. It was only through their resilience and their willingness to confront uncomfortable truths that they had managed to rebuild. "Unity isn't about pretending everything is perfect," she said. "It's about choosing to stand together, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." Her words resonated deeply as I navigated the storm of council politics. The traitors' agenda was insidious, preying on the fears and insecurities that had always existed beneath the surface. They promised strength, but it was a strength built on oppression and distrust. The more I learned, the clearer it became that this wasn't just a threat to the Concordant. It was a battle for its very soul. The humans, for all their differences, understood this better than anyone. They didn't shy away from conflict or from the uncomfortable truths that came with it. And in doing so, they had become an unlikely beacon of hope in our darkest hour. But hope alone wouldn't be enough. As the investigation deepened, the lines between friend and foe grew blurrier. Every discovery brought more questions, more doubts. The council chamber, once a symbol of unity, now felt like a battleground, its members divided by fear and suspicion. And through it all, the shadow of the traitors loomed larger. Their network was vast, their influence insidious. Exposing them would take more than courage. It would take a willingness to confront everything we thought we knew about ourselves. The Concordant was at a crossroads, its future hanging in the balance. And humanity, with all its flaws and fierceness, stood beside us, challenging us to rise above our fears and fight for what truly mattered. But as the days turned into weeks, I couldn't shake the feeling that the worst was yet to come.